Good evening. Well, it is good evening. Um, I'm gonna try not to say uh, see, it's a bad habit. I blame my son. Anyway, the N word. I forgot how to comment on this. Uh, Two reasons. One is, my mother raised me right. I always try to avoid that word, using that word my whole life. You know, I mean, I've literally got to I've had very few instances where I had an urge to say it. And if I can recall maybe one, and that it's involved, some gentleman attacking me and causing me my bone in my back to get broken. But that's a different story. Um, but I didn't. I never have. You could ask anybody who knows me. I've never really used that word. I never I always thought it was a bad idea because you know. I've lived in black neighborhoods for many years. I've had black friends. Doesn't entitle me to any special privileges, But I just thought it was probably a good idea not to use it. Even when I lived in these neighborhoods, I didn't use it. I remember used to call I have a black friend many years ago. We used to call him money, but not the N word. That's what he's. And actually, back then, the, the people I knew would call each other that. That's how long ago that was. Not the N word like they do now um, in some of these neighborhoods. So to make a long story short, I did pretty good my whole life. I never really used the word. And maybe it was prophetic because why do I bring it up? Well, my father, who was schizophrenic and was racist. And when we were kids, he, would say the N word in front of black people when he was with his kids. I almost get into altercations with them, and it's happened numerous times, more times I can remember, And maybe that's another reason why I don't use the N word because I was traumatized as a child, by my father, That's probably one of them. And I don't see him changing. Well, about 20 years ago, he was hit in the head by some person with a baseball bat for saying the N word. And he subsequently died about 2 or 3 weeks later in the hospital from, a brain infection. But essentially, it was, manslaughter, murder, whatever, all because of the N word. See what I'm saying about prophetic? Not saying the N word seems to be a pretty bad idea in some cases. Because some people do get cosmically, triggered, by words. Is that right? No, but just the way it is. People are people. So maybe it's best, to avoid these words, But here's the thing, black people use this word, to describe each other to each other. And that's a problem because they're using that as common language and they're expecting other people who are not of their, skin color to not use the word at all. That's pretty ridiculous. But that's just, the way I see. Now, I've made the effort not to use the word, myself, my whole life, but I still think that not using the word and, if you're going to use it as common language is ridiculous. Now, that's just my take on it, But, I don't know, you tell me.